in a world where we need more leaders, we've got somebody here to talk about some great ways you can influence, help our youth, and those who are struggling to make it. Stay tuned for this, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to the Your Little Castle Show. Yours truly, Cardinal Cowboy, Carter Rethwish. We get to reach out to the community. We've put a couple posts out there in our little world. This Facebook thing is kind of catching on. But we found somebody who's actually hitting the world from a few different ways, helping youth. And we're gonna do a second show where we're talking about helping those who've struggled with addiction and how to combat that, how to deal with it, and give them a resource too, right? So let's talk a little bit. What is it that led you? Let me give the official introduction here. Johnty McCoy, the real McCoy, or do you go by that title?
The fake one, yeah.
The fake one, okay.
They sent me here.
He's sitting right here, Johnty McCoy, but the owner-founder of Play Systems Installations. And this is for kids to have a playground, somewhere to enjoy our little planet and safely partake in athletic activities instead of sitting in front of the computer all day or the PlayStation, right? They get the outdoor play system, right?
Right.
Okay. What led you here? Why did you decide to get into this?
I was a chef for 18 years, and when I got sober, I kind of had to jump out of the restaurant industry because, as you know, it's kind of just rampant with debauchery. So I jumped out for a few years, and then I jumped back in, and right when I jumped back in, COVID happened. So I had to jump right back out because restaurants shut down. And so I started doing residential playgrounds with my best friend's uncle.
Okay.
So in backyards. And then I went and worked at one of the best restaurants in the world, decided that bucket list item was done, and opened this. Well,
yeah, talk about there's lots of ways to have an impact on our little planet, but to start a company from scratch that literally and you get the systems at your distributor, or you manufacture the systems, or where do these systems come from?
No, we work closely with manufacturers, distributors, parks, schools, HOAs, but I'm the installer. So we are on the ground, boots on the ground. We are the ones putting the stuff in the ground itself.
So you make sure these things get set up properly, and
correct.
Because kids, they can be demonstrative if you don't get the proper installation. Obviously, you don't want to send somebody else to try to set one of these up. But these things are robust. We'll take a look at some of what you got on their website there to share a little bit about this. Shout out first off, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle that may have a play system put together by our expert Johnty here. And so Carroll House Furniture, because you like those nice things. But with that, let's put up. You've got a beautiful looking website, great looking fan page. And this is just one of your major endeavors here. That here you get to have an impact on our little planet, helping kids. I like your tagline there. We typed it out. Oh, there we go. My computer's overriding me. Bringing leisure to our future leaders. Tell me how this came about. Then you said this is where I want to go. This is an interesting way to go.
Yeah. So play is important for children, and if you look into the psychology behind it, it is integral for their development. So as a chef, things are passion projects. You're not cooking for money because you don't make money as a cook, right? So for me, I had to find another passion project. And this wasn't what I was envisioning for my life. I wasn't envisioning going in and putting in these things for children. But after I started doing it, I did my first one in Dallas, Texas. And it was one of the hardest things I had ever done. And but I did it. And then when you're done and there's these kids that are running up and or as you're doing it, they're like, thank you. And they're just so happy that you're there. You can't help but get passionate about it, right? So I found another passion project.
Well, obviously something very cool that is having an impact on our little planet here. And there's just so many things that I guess I was kind of struck because there's many different things you can do to take spend your time doing, but when you get to helping and build systems like this is something that really does give back. I'm a big advocate that kids need to be active. They need to be outside. They need to be interacting. That's why I think sports is so important. And my background in hit by the drunk driver, and we talked about, I believe if I had made the connection to learn some of the athleticism or some of the what you learn by being active instead of sitting behind a PlayStation, I would not have recovered from the coma that I went through so readily. And I think that's just so. I kudos to you for coming out to put something together like this, and it integrates with your other side of the world. We're going to talk about in our second half here too. But you've been doing this you've been in the industry since 2020. You started your own company in 2022, right? And that led you where you're here. What about this fuels your passion? Why? What is it that makes you wake up every day that you love doing this?
Jumping out of the restaurant industry, I'm sorry I keep bringing this up, but it's a big part of my life. And jumping out of it, it was you're looking for money. I was looking for money. I was like, this is not enough money. I'm working at one of the best restaurants in the world, and I'm barely making it in one of the best cities in the world, and I couldn't believe it. So I was like, I need to make money. There's a lot of money. This is a niche industry. You've probably never seen anyone building a playground before, or ever thought, how does that happen? How does that get there?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's quite the process, but yeah, just the kids show up and it's there, right?
Right.
How long does it take you to assemble one of these normally?
It depends. The projects that we're doing that we have on our website, we can do those in 3 to 5 days. So
Really?
they can go up fairly quickly, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's again back to so that's your passion. That's what led you here. You've got some great reviews. You got a lot of people that are talking about great things. So I'll pop those up on the screen over here for you real quickly. But I'll go to the wide screen. But there's your Facebook page and a lot of good stuff you're doing there that it gathers the attention of a lot of people. But you've got some interesting reviews from the perspective that you've got a couple high-powered organizations you're working with here, and talk a little bit about. I'll put this so people can see what we're talking about here. But what's it like working with these kinds of organizations?
So this one right here, it's talking about Job Corps. I grew up in the penal system as a kid.
Really?
So it's all very, very close and personal to me. Yeah. So as a kid, you are searching for something that is going to work. Job Corps is working directly with children that are troubled, right? These are troubled youth, and they're trying to instill in them a craft so they can go in and change their world and change their life. Going in and working with Job Corps across the country, and I haven't worked with them a bunch, but we try whenever we're in a place where Job Corps is to go in and say, hey, we'd like to use some of your guys for the week that we're here. It's important. I found cooking in a juvenile detention. And then my mentor went on to change my life, you know. I was heavily involved in gangs and heavily involved in drugs, and that's what I grew up in. And he changed the whole trajectory of my life, right? So, yeah, it's important. So, but these
I didn't
kids are
realize
important.
the Job Corps does so much of that. They're building things, but they get involved in the community to help people stay out of trouble or give them activities, give them work to do. Is that true?
Yeah, so they house children. And these kids are, I believe, I forget the ages, it's like 16 to 24 or something.
Okay.
While they're living on these premises, they can take a carpentry class, or they can take cooking classes, or anything that they have in those facilities. And I think it's like an 18-month program or a year program where they come in and they can just get a craft and they get a certificate. A lot of times these kids go on to the military, or they go on to like big institutions to work in because they have experience working in institutions already. So yeah.
Okay, Johnty's bringing quite a bit to the table here. I didn't realize. We had a quick conversation. We talked a little bit more about the other side of your world, which we'll get into the second. We're going to do a second half. I told them we're going to do 2 separate half hours, one dedicated to each of your causes of what you're living and breathing. You got my assistant producer over here is in the studio with us too. She brought around to help us. Is everything flowing all right? Is the cameras all right? The lighting right? Good. Okay.
Thanks, Travis.
That's Travis. Thank you, Travis. But yeah, I mean, you're making an impact from a number of different ways here, and it's kind of exciting for what. Tell me then. With regard to the playground stuff, what's the alternative for people? I guess people can build their own, or they go to the park. what is it you're helping people to alleviate? What pain are you alleviating? Is it for schools to have some activities for kids? Where are these mostly installed at?
Yeah, so we're mostly at schools. A lot of times we're at apartment complexes or HOAs. Our cutting edge for us, that's what you're asking, right? What is our cutting edge?
Yeah, what's your target audience? What does it separate you? Because there's alternatives. You can go to the park. What's different about what you offer versus going to the park?
I don't know. That's a strange
Well,
question.
yeah, but I say essentially you're giving some, because the park is funded by a city. There's lots of money, lots of funding that goes in there.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, don't let the kids leave the school. Let them stay here at the school, and they can now have a park at the school. Is that kind of what you're allowing people to have now?
Yeah, but we're building the parks that the schools need. So like the main parks, we're building those, or the main parks in HOAs, we're building those, or in a community park, we're building those. Yeah.
Okay, so you're building all the parks also. I mean, you're really filling the gaps here for everybody, and these resources. Again, I want to show you guys. Have you got some examples on the website of some of the parks and everything? I assume so. But you're filling that gap now. So get back to giving these kids the activity that they need to get out and stay. Well, what is it that you offer that kind of sets you apart with regard to what your business does as far as installation and how you take care and how you implement these? Why would somebody choose you to have this kind of work done versus the park, I guess, can bring their own working crew in? How do the other parks put their stuff together? You're helping to fill the gap here.
But being that it's such a niche industry, there's not a lot of competition. When you search stuff up like this, you're going to find people that are doing residential stuff.
Gotcha.
So you're not going to find very many companies that are doing commercial jobs. So I think that's what we bring to the table is we are strictly commercial. We're not doing residential. We're working directly with the manufacturers. We're working directly with the distributors. We work with one of the biggest distributors in the country, playgroundequipment.com. We love them so much. So yeah. I wanted to take it back to, with regard, you were asking me about why, and I said money exactly, but I forgot to say that it's a passion project. I figured out it's not about money, and I figured out all of my passion projects are about helping people, and that's what brings fulfillment and success and nothing else. And I found that out now. And that's what I was searching for with building this business.
I got you, yeah. So initially it might have been you were trying to survive, trying to pay the bills. We all need that.
Yeah.
But you said, hey, but that's kind of that's a great point you make there, because what I do with the Cardinal Cowboy, I just wanted to go out and help people, and I thought it was going to be nice for them. But I found it fed what I needed to feel like I was contributing. And that really is what matters. All the money in the world doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy, but you found something here. And again, we're going to talk about it on the second half hour here, where you're helping people on the other side who've gone through addiction and how you deal with that, and kind of accommodating to give people an outlet there too. So a lot of great information, a lot of great resources here. Is there any specific, do you have to get certified to be an installer, or what is it that, tell me about the process.
Yeah, so there's safety courses that you need to go through in order to be this, and it is overseen by the government. It's a full government program.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to change now with the Department of Education basically on the chopping block. That our industry is kind of like in a weird phase right now with that going on, because a lot of our money funding comes from schools that are getting funding from the Department of Education.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so
they might have to find other means, depending on what they do with the education. But it's such a vital part. I mean, I guess that's another point. You talk about where a lot of schools, they cut the extracurriculars immediately, right? If we're going to cut money, then we got to cut but these are the most important things we talked about, because it gives kids that resource to interact with other kids, to work part of a team. You play hide and seek and tag and all the fun things that you do.
Right.
But being outside and away from the computer, away from the PlayStation, and interacting with humans, other kids.
Right.
Okay. Well, we're going to show a little bit of what we have going on. We're going to pick up with a little video. Josh Grayson from came to support Little Patriots. He's a #1 selling musical artist in the country space, and did a lot of fun stuff. And we'll share with some of our community stuff we got going on too. So stay tuned here, everybody. We'll be back in a minute. So here's how much. That's nothing. These guys. We're getting a lot of guys in a little contest. See who
sells the most, and then they get to hit on the field. So it was a great fun. Win-win-win for everybody. So with that, let's give a nice warm introduction. We've got one of the best artists that many people have seen over the years here. Back in 2004, he was the New Artist of the Year nominee. He had a breakthrough video, I Want to Live, in 2005. Gained public attention as the 4th place finalist on the 2nd season of American Idol. Is that pretty cool? You guys realize American Idol's been around? We've had a couple of guys on my show. We got to get Josh on the show. They got a couple great crew here with them too. Sydney. Dan's here too. So, and these guys are musicians, been doing this for a long time. So give it up for Josh Grayson. And Nate.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey, we're looking for the small business owners and leaders in our community to be on our show. This is the Your Little Castle show. We air 3 times a week, every week on ABC, and we would like to put somebody you know, or maybe it's you, who's a business owner to be on our show. You'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. It takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there is no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Check that out. Go to bigleagues.com. So lots of fun there. You can see work we do in the community. We'll give a shout out about, if you want to learn about a little bit about media, magnetize your media, get a hold of our book. I wrote the foreword here, yours truly, and this is already a new #1 seller on Amazon. Can kind of give you some perspective on media, and that's why we're doing these shows, because we want to highlight the people that necessarily don't want to spend $500,000. They don't have some big resource, but we'll say, hey, come on and sit in our studio. We'll do an interview with you and talk about you and get the word out about you, because there's so many people doing good work, and I love what you're doing here, man, to help people. And then, like I said, that second show is gonna be great. We're talking about what's going on there too. What's the biggest mistake that the average consumer might make when making a decision to get a playground like this? They say they can build it themselves. They want to do the backyard thing.
That's exactly what it is. So
Tell
a
me
lot
about
of times, HOAs in particular will get together and they will buy a structure, and they're on a strict budget. And they're like, you know what, Joe down the street's a contractor. He can help us with this. And Joe has a guy down the street, and we can all come together as a community and we can get this done. So then they go in and they try and do this. But first thing, they get it off the truck, and they're like, how do we get this off the truck? They have no idea. They didn't know that they're going to need a forklift to get it off the truck.
Right, okay.
So there's like tiny little variables that they have no idea are going to happen immediately. And so then they call us. So
So you don't mind so much because they will end up calling you eventually anyway, Trey. And
Well-
like I said, we all have our brother-in-law who's going to help us get this thing done. There's some specific expertise that goes into this.
yeah, you kind of have to know what you're doing. You've had to have done these a few times. Like, it's very plug and play. And if you've built a fence before and you've plumbed and leveled something before, you can do this. But you need to have someone show you exactly how to do this, and do this at least, I don't know, 60 times or so before you go and try this.
Anything you should do at least 60 times if you're going to be good at it. And that's kind of that's an expertise we're talking about, but that's what you're bringing to the table here. What do you like about the St. Louis market? You take this all over the country, but of all the markets that you get to work in, is there any you like? Is this a southern thing, or where is it best for you to do what you do?
I do this all over the country. Obviously, we're based here in St. Louis. We don't do much in St. Louis. St. Louis is kind of cornered by a few different companies that are doing things. So I haven't really broken into the St. Louis market. But I'd say my favorite market and easiest market is Texas.
Okay.
And that being because they have independent school districts.
Really?
And so you can come in, and there's some bad things about this as well, but you can come in to these districts and there isn't a lot of red tape that you have to go through in order to go and get these structures up. Because a lot of times, a lot of different markets like Washington, California, there's a lot of different red tape, a lot of different licensing that you have to go through. But yeah.
Yeah, that just kind of explains it right there. These are the things you won't learn until you're an expert. Somebody's done it a bunch of times yourself, and the years of experience in doing so. But it's just, again, it's exciting to see somebody who has conquered their little part of the world and helping to contribute here, because you've got a combination of things you're doing to help people. And keeping kids active in the community is an important thing. Tell me a time, though, when you had a particular instance where you knew somebody was in a tough situation, a school district or a neighborhood, where you could tell they needed some help, and you stepped up, or you saw a problem and kind of helped make a difference within that community. I guess it's about all of them that you go to by now, but give me an example of like, you could see where the kids, once they got on your equipment, they were pretty excited.
Yeah, there's a few different instances. One being in Lake Havasu. Their whole system was just completely outdated, and we were able to come in and completely renovate and do this really big project. And I don't know if you know about these places, but there's these deposits of clay called caliche, and it is very, very, very hard. It's almost impossible to dig through.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so going in and putting in these structures for these people, because no one else is going to know how to do it. No one else is going to, when they get there and they see what you have to do it, they're going to be like, I'm not doing that. Yeah, that we were able to come in and still get these things done, even though they have that there. And we're not familiar with it in Missouri, so learning on the fly, like how to do that and do it correctly, and make sure that like we're giving the most top-notch customer service ever. Yeah.
All of that, yeah. I'm thinking about your background too, and kind of some of the hurdles you've overcome in your past. Since you're articulate, well-spoken, knowledgeable, you've got great use of the English language, and it's it's cool to see somebody who might have come through. I don't know your whole background, but you mentioned it earlier, with gangs and those kinds of things, and just to see somebody who's kind of made it through, and now reaching out and trying to help other people to do the same. And is that where this kind of all comes around?
Yeah, I think, and when I grew up in those things, in those juvenile detentions, it instills in you like a sense of like, oh, I'm in these things, and this is probably, I'm gonna make a difference in life because I'm in these things. And as a child, I felt that. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I wanted to cook, so I found out, he was like, you're really good at this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna cook. But yeah, it's just it becomes a part of your DNA, I guess.
I like that, yeah.
Even
Quote that one, everybody. It becomes part of your DNA, and it's part of that good feeling you get about feeling like you're contributing, I guess is what you're saying.
yeah, absolutely,
Making an impact in other people.
absolutely.
Well, tell me, I'm sure a bunch of people have watched this by now, like, well, I want to learn more about this. How do I get a system? What's the process for somebody to get started with you?
They can contact me at info@playsystemsinstalls.com.
I go to the website right there, and they can fill it out, and can they send a text to that cell phone that's on there too?
They absolutely can.
And so, but I see up here on your website, I'll put this on the screen for everybody. Just hit the inquire button. Is that right?
It should be. It might be deactivated at the moment. We're doing a little bit
more
of
fun now.
construction on there. There's one right there.
You can schedule you right there, and then see a lot of the work we're talking about here. And services, you've got some examples of what and the process here a little bit for everybody. And there you go. Play is the work of the children. I like it. And a lot that you can see there. Here is some of this equipment you're talking about, where you can see some of the devices that you guys put in place to install for places. Is there any one in particular that stands out that people like the most?
Man, we did this really cool one in Springfield, Illinois. Well, actually, it's Auburn, Illinois.
Okay.
And man, I forget the name of it. They did a news article on it, but it was a fully ADA structure, so everything was really low to the ground. And it was named after this child that it's so wrong that I'm forgetting this child's name. It was named after a child that passed that didn't have access to structures to play on. So we went in and we created this fully accessible for wheelchairs or anyone that needed it structure, and it was really, really awful. And we were building it on top of a 100-year-old water tower. And if you know anything about concrete, as concrete sits, it cures and gets harder and harder. So we were core drilling. Anyways, it still came out amazing, and we've really got to be a part of that community for that little moment in time. So thanks.
Very cool. Johnty McCoy, everybody here, founder, owner, right here. Play System Installations. PlaySystemsInstalls.com. Stay tuned for more. We're going to have him back for another half hour, talk about his other big adventure he's helping the world with. Giddy up.